Hi everyone, I'm Laura Gale Locke. The Wichita Park and Recreation Department is teaming up with the Wichita Rowing Association, or WRA, to offer you some really great classes and services. I'd like to introduce our two guests for this show. We have Bob Lakin, who is down on our end. He is the president of the Wichita Rowing Association. And then seated next to me is Bob Simons. He is the chair of the Community Programs Committee with the WRA. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Well, first just tell me a little bit about the Wichita Rowing Association.
Well, it's a group that's been in existence since 1974. It was started by some ex-collegiate rowers who wanted to keep rowing. It's a nonprofit organization, tax exempt with the IRS. We have about 80 members right now. We have about 20 boats. They're currently stored at the tennis facility on the Little Arkansas River. The mission statement that was put forth when the organization was started was firstly basically to exist, meaning to offer the opportunity to people in Wichita to have a place to row if they want to support people learning to row, to support a junior rowing program for high school students, and to support competition. Each year we have a regatta on the first Sunday of November. And people from all around the area come to that. Basically, we exist to offer people the opportunity to row.
Do you guys do your rowing primarily on the river, or do you go to other nearby lakes?
Exclusively on the river. The kind of boats we use are 25 to 30 feet long, and they're not easy to tow around, so we just store them in one place and mainly row on the river.
Makes sense. I understand there's more than one type of rowing.
Okay, there are two types of rowing, one of which is sweep rowing, where each person has one oar, and sculling, where each person has two oars called sculls. Rowing is done in boats called shells, ranging from one-person shells called singles to eight-person shells called eights. In between, we have 2- and 4-person shells, pairs and fours for sweep rowing, and doubles and quads for sculling. And rowing is a sport that is an ultimate team sport. If you're rowing in multiple person shells, it requires precise timing and application of power. And in contrast, it can also be a great individual sport where it depends solely on one's skill and fitness.
And how do you know if you're ready to start rowing?
Most of our members who don't have any rowing experience take our Learn to Row program. And we work through the Wichita Parks and Recreational program to provide 3 classes. One is a one-day introduction to rowing course, which costs $24, and that just helps people decide if rowing is something they'd like to pursue. If you really want to get serious about rowing, though, people take the 5-day sculling course for $85 or a 10-day sweep course for $150. And at the end of the sculling and sweep courses, you have enough experience to row on your own or in a sweep boat. You sign up through Parks and Rec, and classes are listed in the Parks and Rec bulletins.
So you guys provide all the boats. People don't need to bring their own boats.
That's right. You can buy your own boat, but you don't need to buy any equipment if you don't want to.
I was going to say the boats are quite expensive, from $5,000 for a single boat up to $30,000 or $40,000 for a boat that holds 8 people, and that's one reason that rowing clubs exist, so the club can get all their funds together, and that it can be quite inexpensive for a person to join and row with the club, but it'd be very difficult for them to afford the boat on their own. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can imagine that would add up quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is a good way to try it out and see if you like it. Is it a pretty easy sport to pick up? Or is it they're more technical and is it harder than it looks?
It's both. That makes sense. The basic stroke is easy. It's very natural. But it's almost like playing a musical instrument. You can get better and better, and there's a number of fine points. So people can work at it for years to get better at it. But again, after the 5-day course, almost everyone is able to row on their own after that.
Well, why don't you guys tell us a little bit more about the courses?
On the 1-day course, people get some instruction on how to row and then go out for an hour or so in a boat with 2 people in it, so there's one instructor with a student. And again, that's basically to give the person an idea of what rowing is like to see if they want to continue. On the 5-day course, there's initial instruction about safety and about the boats themselves and the rowing stroke. We practice that on land on a rowing machine before getting in a boat. And again, people usually start in a boat that holds 2 people. And then by the 2nd or 3rd class, they're rowing on their own. And on the last day, row all the way up and back down the river is the goal, which is several miles. And again, after that course, people are usually able to join the club if they want and row. Or we offer to let them come and visit a few times for free to see if they want to continue.
I want to talk a little bit about the types of people that sign up for the Learn to Row class. We have people anywhere aging from ages of 14 all the way up to their 40s, 50s, and 60s. Women and men sign up, people who are athletes to people who are looking to get fit.
And I was going to say, it looks like a pretty good workout. What are some of the health benefits?
Rowing provides a total body workout. It exercises the legs, the arms, the core, and it's great for cardiovascular fitness. Rowing is impact-free. It's easy on the joints, so it doesn't have the impact that, let's say, a sport like running has. Based on the above, it provides great aerobic and strength conditioning. And it improves flexibility, and rowing burns a lot of calories, so it's great for weight loss as well.
It looks like you could go slow and row more slowly and then work your way up for a better workout if you need to, if you're not going in as a professional athlete.
Absolutely, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. What kind of health benefits have you guys seen personally?
Yeah, I actually got into rowing because I was at a fitness club and rowed on a rowing machine and just liked the motion. Again, it involves the arms, legs, everything. There's not many repetitive aerobic type exercises that do that. I mean, cycling doesn't, that's legs. Running. Cross-country skiing does, but it's hard to cross-country ski in Wichita in the summertime.
Yes, it is.
Again, the benefit is to exercise the entire body with one activity. And it's one that's quite enjoyable. You get to be going up and down the river, looking at turtles sitting on rocks and geese sharing the river with you. We have a wonderful venue here for it with the park along the river.
Yeah,
so,
beautiful for sure.
Much more fun than standing on a treadmill.
Yes, I have to agree.
And for me, I was a long-distance runner, and at the age of 50, I had my 3rd knee operation. The operation went well, but I wasn't really able to pursue running anymore. So I discovered rowing, and I can now work out as hard as I did in my 30s. And in my 30s, I was doing things like running 120-mile relays from Mount Hood to the Pacific Ocean. So I'm working out pretty hard.
That's a staggering idea, isn't it? That's wonderful, though.
It's downhill.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some people might be concerned about health, might have medical issues, and they're concerned about that. And certainly, if you have a medical issue, you should discuss that with a medical professional before pursuing rowing. That said, to pursue rowing, local rowers have overcome a wide variety of health concerns. I mentioned my sports injury, but others have overcome cancer and other health problems. Another example of someone who's rowed with a health issue is my wife, Bea Ritchie, and she rowed through treatments for stage 3 breast cancer.
That's impressive.
And that was in 2010, and as a cancer survivor in 2011, she got 2nd in the nation at the Masters National Championships for the women's single scull in her age group. So that's quite a recovery.
Very talented woman.
And worldwide, there are adaptive rowing programs so people with various disabilities can pursue rowing.
Mm-hmm. Are there any age concerns? I think you said earlier a variety of ages could participate. Is that correct?
That's true. Anybody from 14 on up. In fact, the Wichita Rowing Association has competitive and recreational rowers in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And worldwide, people are still competing in races in their 70s and 80s.
Mm-hmm. What's the oldest you guys have personally seen?
70s.
70s?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The boats aren't set up for children, so you have to be a teenager to be big enough to fit in one. But that's the main limitation age-wise.
So then after you take the classes, I know you said you could eventually get to the point where you could go out on your own, then do you rent your boats out, or how does that work?
No, you just pay an annual membership fee, and then you can use all of the equipment facilities whenever you like.
Okay, and then how much is that fee?
For individual members, it's $150 a year, and for families, it's $230 a year. And that compares very favorably with other rowing clubs around the area and around the country. Some of them are more like $100 a month. So.
Oh yeah, that's quite a deal. Well, should we talk a little bit about the recreational rowing program?
Probably a majority of the people in the club are what we would call recreational rowers. They just come down to get some exercise, or their main purpose in rowing may be to get away from everyday life and just spend some time on the river. There tend to be times when people come together, so they can help each other with their boats. There's some camaraderie there. Some groups have regular get-togethers and go out to breakfast or dinner afterwards. And again, you don't have to work on rowing fast or exercising hard. It can just be a relaxing activity rather than a hard workout. And there is always the opportunity to get better. The better you get at rowing, the narrower the boat you get into. So boats that are used in the Olympics, for example, are a foot wide. They're like sitting on a toothpick. Mm-hmm. And you gradually build skill to get good at those boats. And so there's always goals about getting better also.
With those boats, is it hard to balance?
Yes.
I bet so.
The boats don't have a keel, and the oars are quite long, and holding the oars out to the sides is essentially the same as a tightrope walker holding a stick for his balance, and the whole balance of the boat is basically keeping the oar handles at the right height so that the boat stays steady in the water.
I bet that is a challenge.
So.
That said, we do have recreational level shells, which are very stable in even rough water, and so it's great for windy Kansas.
Mm-hmm. And I was going to say, are you guys pretty much operating unless there's ice on the river?
Yes.
Yeah, we operate from March until the end of November, basically.
Mm-hmm. It's a long season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you guys also have a competitive juniors rowing program. Let's hear about that.
Right. The competitive juniors program is for kids of the age of 14 to 18. They practice 3 days a week. They go to several regattas or rowing races per year. And through our juniors program, they learn basic to advanced rowing skills, how to pursue, how to achieve personal goals. They learn teamwork. They learn racing strategies. And in addition to all that, they have an opportunity to get collegiate scholarships. Our juniors have a big edge over incoming collegiate freshmen with no rowing experience. After 2 to 4 years with WRA, our rowers develop a lot of technique and skill, so they have a big heads up on people with no experience. And one of our recent juniors, Liz Matthews, got a scholarship at Oklahoma City University. And she did so well in her freshman year. She was one of 24 women nationwide who was selected for the U.S. rowing freshman camp.
But you guys are really proud of her.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure that probably made a lot of parents and students' ears perk up on some free money to get through school with tuition costs going up and everything else. Yeah, that's wonderful.
And it's a great opportunity to travel and see the world. And
I bet the kids have a great time.
Yeah.
Yes. And learn structure too. I mean, it's, again, in the bigger boats, everybody has to work together and learn teamwork and learn how to get up early in the morning to row.
That's a challenge too. Well, that sounds great. And then I understand that you guys also have another program for those people who are ready to kind of take it to the next level.
Right. For older rowers, we have a competitive master's program, and that's for anyone ages 21 on up.
Is that where you're at?
Yes. And we have both sweep and sculling opportunities depending on your interest. So you can row on your own or row in a boat with other people. And we attend regattas and compete for medals around the region, including in Oklahoma City, Topeka, Tulsa, and Des Moines. And some of our rowers even compete in national regattas. Regattas generally range from 1,000-meter sprints to 5,000-meter longer races called head races. The program provides great opportunities for growth. In 1,000-meter sprints, for instance, some of our newer rowers have seen improvements of many boat lengths in a 1,000-meter race over just 1 year of training. So considering a boat is about 10 meters long, that's a lot of improvement if you improve by 5 or 10 boat lengths in just 1 year of training.
Now you're obviously dealing with experienced rowers there, but is there also a coach there or somebody helping you advance?
To some degree, it's self-help. So our more experienced rowers provide information to the less experienced. But we've also had coaches come in from Kansas City, for example, to do a weekend seminar coaching session for the Masters rowers. And plan on making that an annual event.
That's great.
And our long-range goal is to provide more coaching for the Masters.
So what's it like to take part in a regatta?
Most regattas are held in the weekend. So late in the week, you get everybody together who's going to the regatta, and you take all your boats apart, you load them onto a trailer, and then the day before or at race day, depending where the regatta is, you drive down to the regatta. And then you unload your boats and put them all back together again. And then they'll have a schedule of events. You might race 1 to 3 events in one regatta. So it's quite a job to manage your output of physical output between races and get rehydrated and refueled between events.
Because it's a pretty good workout.
Yeah.
There's basically 2 kinds of races, and if you watch the Olympics, you'll see a lake with 8 lanes of buoys, and everybody starts at the same time, and you're racing next to the people you're racing against. The other kind is called head racing, as Bob mentioned, and that's usually on a river. And the boats start one at a time at 10 or 15 second intervals, and you're racing against the clock. And then the person at the end with the fastest time wins. So when there's not room for 8 parallel lanes, that's the way we do it.
Is it pretty exciting?
It is. We have our frostbite race here the first Sunday of every November, and on the Little Arkansas River, and so there's lots of boats coming down. For example, the last race of the day is the 8-person boats mixed with 4 women and 4 men. They're mostly college teams, but there were 38 boats in that race last year.
That's quite a lot.
And get on a bend in the river, watch everybody come by, or stand on top of a bridge and watch them go underneath you. It's pretty exciting to watch.
Be fun to cheer on.
And in most races, we have to worry about weather conditions. In Kansas, we got a lot of wind. That means waves, and you always have. It seems like we always have to deal with some sort of choppy water or something. And another type of race that is possible for participants is an indoor rowing race, and Bob has done some of that, so he'll tell you about.
The rowing machines were invented 30 or 40 years ago in the Northeast, which is a rowing hotbed. So that in the winter you can't row outside there. So it's a machine that simulates the same motion with a sliding seat and a handle to hold on instead of an oar. And years ago they decided, out of boredom, I think, to start having races on those in the winter when everybody was training to get faster for the summer. So now around the country, there are indoor rowing machine races. They're called ergometers, so it's called an erg race. But and on those, there's a computer program for the rowing machines, so that they'll put a screen up, and there'll be a bunch of lanes with a boat, and it accurately shows who's ahead. So the spectators there can also see who's winning and who's going faster.
Oh, that's really cool. Kind of gives you a way to keep going all year long.
Right, exactly. And for some people, that's a goal in and of itself. There are indoor rowers who don't row on rivers, but and it's very popular in Europe, actually.
So if somebody's interested in joining WRA, what happens first with you guys?
We have a website, and on the website there's an application form. Most people who join come through the Learn to Row classes, and if you have no rowing experience, that's what we would recommend. It's possible to just sign up and join, but then you need to get instructed, and we're not really set up to individually instruct everybody who wants to join. So again, it's best to come through the Learn to Row classes. The other type of person is somebody who has some rowing experience, and they're certainly welcome to join. Then we just do a little orientation class with them, meet them at the boathouse and go over things and watch them row and make sure they know what they're doing. And then the other thing that we have done in recent years is that there is a swim test to pass. We want to, if your boat does flip over, we want to know that you're able to swim. That can be done at any YMCA or city swimming pool. Just a very brief swim test. Otherwise, a personal flotation device works too, and we have those available.
Well, I know you guys have a partnership with Park and Rec. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about how that works?
The Learn to Row class for the last several years has been offered in conjunction with Parks and Recreation. So it's in the Parks and Recreation Bulletin. That's how people find out about it and sign up, although we run it. So Parks and Rec has been doing advertising and managing, and we've been partnering with them to run the Learn to Row classes.
So where do you guys see the future of WRA headed, and what's next for you guys?
We're at an exciting time in our history. The Parks and Rec has determined that they need the handball area we're in now for other purposes, and we have been working on a plan for a more permanent facility for several years. So with things coming together, it's time to do that. We have had approval from Parks and Rec to put up a temporary facility, which is a steel frame building with a vinyl top, 60 by 80 feet to hold all of our boats, and that'll be adjacent to the tennis center and should be up and running in the next few months. That'll be a nicer facility than we have now. The boats will be covered, easily accessible to the river and to parking. So we're looking forward to that. And then we have a plan for a more permanent rowing center, permanent building. The plan at this point is that will also be on Parks and Rec land in Riverside Park, most likely across the Little Arkansas River from the tennis center. We're early in our fundraising, but we have done a lot of research and hope to make that work. When that building is done, we hope to have a full-time person there to run the place, help people get their boats out, do all the paperwork and such, and care for the boats, and also a more full-time coach, so that we'll have a knowledgeable coach on staff to teach the Learn to Row classes, to teach the juniors, to do the masters racing, and to expand things to other groups in the community. Maybe, for example, in other cities, corporations will do a team boat with 8 people in it as a team building exercise to get everybody working together, and those are quite fulfilling for a lot of people.
I bet. Sounds like some great services.
It's also important to emphasize that we really need a secure, stable rowing facility to have this growth. You know, we can't be in a temporary facility and always moving all the time. We need that permanent.
And it should be a great resource for the city of Wichita. The city of Wichita has a great resource for rowers in the Little Arkansas River. It's very scenic. It's shielded from the wind, and it is free of other types of boats. There's a few kayaks and an occasional canoe, but around the country, rowers have to get up at 5 a.m. to get on the water, so they're out of the way when the tugboats and speedboats and barges come by. And the resource we have here is really wonderful from that standpoint, that it's safe to row any time of the day.
That's a good point. I hadn't really thought about that before, but you're right. You kind of have the whole place to yourself.
Right, and it's in a wonderful park with ducks and geese, and you can see the sunsets there.
So you guys have your business plan done, and then are you just asking for donations, or what's going to happen next?
Yes, at this point, it's members and friends that we're presenting the plan to, and we hope to get the large majority of our funding just done quietly that way over the next couple of years before going any further. again, we may look for grant help if we can offer classes to, say, boys and girls clubs or scouting or that sort of thing. So,
if somebody wants to learn more about your future plans, where can they go to get that information?
The best place right now is the website. It is currently being upgraded, and it should have all the information about the new facility on there within the next few months.
And what's your website?
www.wichitarowing.org.
Okay, we'll have to make sure to check that out. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to add?
Come try rowing. It's a wonderful sport, and we make it accessible to everyone. So,
Rowing is a sport for dreamers. If you put in the work, you can own the dream.
Oh, that's great. Love it. Well, thank you guys. It's been really fun to hear about this exciting sport, and I'm sure more people will be calling you up and checking you out after seeing this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you for watching this edition of Local Loop.